how much are you paying for your course right now?
Okay, let me remember because I didn't really pay anything. Department of EC basically pays my tuition fee. Of course, I feel like the opportunities which are there in the US are not as much as in other countries. I think LORs are the most important documents. I don't think SOP matters that much, but the career fairs are not very useful because what they mostly do is they just tell you to apply on the company's website. On the lower end, I would say 150K, like CTC, because there are few companies which offer $500,000 as well. I did my BTech in computer science, and then I worked at Microsoft for 3 years. There are very good universities in India also, but in terms of knowledge and experience, I would say it's higher there compared to India. GRE is not really a difficult exam, so you don't really need to give a GRE, and they don't really consider your score. 329 or 340, it doesn't really matter.
Hi guys, and welcome back to College Dunia Study Abroad's YouTube channel. Today we are joined with a very special guest who is right now pursuing her master's in computer science from the University of Texas, Austin. So let's welcome Isha and let's continue our conversation with her. Hi Isha, welcome to College Dunia.
Thanks for having me.
I just want our viewers to know that Isha has had a great academic background, starting from her school days. She's been the class toppers, getting good grades, and then has chosen to pursue her study abroad journey. So Isha, why don't you give us your introduction?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that I started my undergrad at National Institute of Technology, Karnataka. I did my BTech in computer science, and then I worked at Microsoft for 3 years. And then I joined UT Austin for my grad school. I wanted to join in 2020, and I had gotten admit back then, but because of the pandemic, I deferred my admit to 1 year later, 2021. And
okay, so I guess you got very modest about your achievements. I would like to bring back you to your school days. I want you to tell us how many marks did you got in your standard 10th, then 12th, and then in your BTech, and please go on.
Sure. So I got a 10 GPA in 10th standard, but let me be honest, it's not a big deal. It's very easy to get, I think, if you're studying well. Mm-hmm. I got 97.2% in my 12th standard. I was doing PCM with computer science as my optional. Okay. So I was studying computer science when I was in 11th standard as well. So that's why I was very interested in picking that as my major. And in my undergrad, I did get a very good GPA, 9.53. In my grad school, my GPA is yet to come because the grades and all are still yet to be calculated.
I want to ask you, what were the exams that you gave for the US? You gave your GRE, right?
Yeah, I gave my GRE. I think
how much did you score in your GRE exam?
I got 329 on 340.
That's a great score. Yeah. That's a very good score, actually.
Yeah. So, but I would like to add that I think most of the universities have now waived GRE. So they don't really require GRE now. I think it started all because of the pandemic, because you have to usually go to a GRE center to give the exam. And because of COVID, everything was closed. And GRE is not really a difficult exam. I got full marks in quant, and it's literally 10th class math. So it's pretty easy if you have done well in your school. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
can you give us a specific number? How much did you got in your quant, and then how much in your verbal?
Yeah, so I got 170 on 170 in my quant, and I got 159 on 170 in my verbal. So yeah, quant, it's really not really difficult. So I think that's why, and of course, your undergrad GPA and what you did in your undergrad, or that matters much more than your GRE. So I think that's the reason most of the universities have already waived GRE, so you don't really need to give a GRE, and they don't really consider your score.
Got it. Okay. So because you got such a great score in your GRE exams, and did you also give your IELTS or TOEFL?
Yeah, I gave TOEFL.
Proficiency?
Yeah, I gave my TOEFL. I think I got 109 on 120.
Okay.
TOEFL, so all this GRE TOEFL, it's more like a cutoff exam where you just need to score above a certain threshold. So if you get 329 or 340, it doesn't really matter if you got above whatever the threshold is set. TOEFL is also important, if you're applying for a teaching assistant positions or something, they need you to score a certain above threshold in your speaking, and then only you can apply. Otherwise, you need to take it again or do some course.
All right. So because you've already nailed both these exams, which is the GRE and the TOEFL as well, do you want to give our viewers some preparation tips that these guys can follow in order to score wonderful marks?
Yeah, I think for GRE, like if some universities are still accepting and people want to give quant, it's just like you can. There are official books which comes for the GRE. It's just enough to practice those, and like there are a lot of I think I used Magoosh, where you can practice the vocabulary, flashcards and words. So you just need to remember and practice the words and then use it and do a practice for quant. Similarly, TOEFL is comparatively very easy. It's just that you should have a hang of like speaking, writing, listening, and all of those things. So again, I would say I just practice the official material. So you just need to practice it. You don't need to like prepare anything. And in TOEFL, even you don't need to do any words or anything. So it's just some practice. Like you can just practice the official tests, or even like there are other websites which give tests, so you can like purchase or take the subscription or something. And that's just enough.
Okay, perfect. So now coming back to your study abroad journey, let's talk about why did you only choose University of Texas, and were there any other alternative universities where you applied and might have got an admit or might have got a reject? So let's talk about that now.
Yeah, so I got admits from UT Austin. I got Carnegie Mellon University. I got the Masters in Computational Data Science program there. Then Georgia Tech, University of Southern California, and University of California, San Diego. So these are all the places I got admit from. The reason I chose UT Austin is because, like, firstly, I looked at all the professors and how close their area matches to mine. And like, I found a few professors whose work was closely aligned with what I want to do. So like, I could work with them and stuff. So that's why. Also, I looked at the course options, which were like pretty good at UT. So that was another reason. Also, UT has like really great funding for master students, at least at the time when I joined. So that was again another reason. And I did speak to a few of my seniors in my college who had attended that university to just get some insights.
And what about the course? Like, why did you only go for Masters in Computer Science? I mean, why not some other course?
I feel like when you do a Masters in Computer Science, you have like the opportunity to do whatever you want. So if you're doing a Masters in Computer Science, you can take up all ML courses, you can take up all algorithm courses or data science courses, right? But if you're like restricting yourself to concentration, I wasn't very sure that I want to do this. Like I didn't want to restrict myself to just take a concentration and focus on that. So I feel like if you do a Masters in Computer Science, you can take whatever courses you want. You can even do a specialized, like you can take courses which are specialized in some sub area. So that gives you more opportunity is what I feel. But like there are students who just are very sure that they want to do computer vision or data science. So then it's better for them to take such specialized courses.
Okay, all right, perfect. So now that you've made it clear why did you choose UT Austin and why this whole program, I want to ask something about your classroom and your batch. Do you have a lot of Indians around you, or are you maybe studying in a silo?
No, there are like a lot of Indian students there. So especially in masters, I think like I would say lot of, I don't know exact percentage, but like really a lot of Indian students. So I think that's the case in most of the universities in the US.
Okay. So Isha, let's now touch upon your fee structure. How much are you paying for your course right now?
Okay, let me remember because I didn't really pay anything. I think it was $12,000 per semester approximately. So you can think of like $25,000 per year that you pay for 2 semesters with the health insurance. So that's the fees. And cost of living is like, again, it really depends on you.
So I'll come to that cost of living wala topic. So you mentioned that you have not paid anything because of course you're getting a whole stipend over there. So but then how does it like what's the deal here? Like you just mentioned the $25,000 is the cost of tuition, right? And you're getting a stipend. So like what's going around here? Is it for everybody or is it just for you or some special people who are having some good scorecards?
Yeah, so because I was doing a teaching assistantship, like so let's say I'm doing a teaching assistantship in the department of EC. The department of EC basically pays my tuition fee. So if you're not doing a 20-hour position, then you are supposed to pay it.
I want to touch upon accommodation now. Where were you living once you reached UT Austin? How did accommodation worked out for you?
Yeah, I was living close to campus. So there are like two campuses, north and west. So north campus is more like where grad students live, and it's just like you can take a direct bus to the university. So I was living there. Like before joining the university, there are like WhatsApp groups where you can join. You can find your roommates there. So
Okay.
just talk to people, figure out somebody you want to pair up as a roommate, and then you start looking for apartments. And there are a lot of options available because it's university. Like there are a lot of buildings where you can like rent apartment. And Austin, to be honest, is not very expensive. Like at least for students to rent. Now it's becoming expensive, but at least when I joined, it was not very expensive.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how I figured out.
What is the average living cost for a student back in Austin?
So I would say the rent, you can say rent plus utilities, it will go like around $1,000 approximately. It could be lower as well, but I'm just saying on average $1,000, and you can expect
$1,000 per month, right?
Per month, yeah.
Cool.
And you can expect like I would say $500 as like food plus travel or whatever cost. So $1,500 I would say on average. Again, it could be on the lower end.
Is this the amount that you're also spending right now, or what's your specific amount?
Yeah, I would say maybe like 1,300 or something, but yeah, more or less same.
Okay. And how do you transport to or commute to your university?
Yeah, there's a direct bus, and in UT buses are free for students, so you don't need to pay anything.
All right. Okay. Now, coming back to your application process, coming back to India first, like how did your research begun with this whole study abroad thing? What were the parameters that you were considering while choosing for the university or the course or the country as well? Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, sure. I was sure that I only wanted to go to the US, so I only applied to the US universities because, of course, like I feel like the opportunities which are there in the US are not as much as in other countries. Like in that way, I would feel that we have better opportunities in India, maybe than if I not US. So that was clear. Then for the universities, I did look at only the top 20 universities. I only wanted to join one of those. So I only chose and I only applied to those universities. And
what
again,
was your shortlisting universities? Which university did you shortlist?
Yeah, so apart from the ones I got admitted from, I applied to Stanford, UC Berkeley, and University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, those basically all the universities which come into top 20, because I feel like there you get like a very good peer group. Of course, I feel like professors are good in all the universities, but I think peer group you will get much better if you choose the top 20 universities. So that's why I chose those. And yeah, that's how I shortlisted. And I of course looked at the professors, like because my area is more like a systems and ML for systems. I looked at the professors working in that area, and you also need to mention in your SOP sometimes that why do you want to join the university. So you need to look at the professors and mention which professors work interest you and stuff. So that's how I researched about it, and those were my only parameters.
So because you mentioned SOPs, the document SOP, right? So I want to ask, how important are the documents SOPs and LORs for a student who's trying to consider study abroad as an option? And how much weightage does it give to your profile and portfolio?
I think LORs are the most important documents because it's like some other professor writing for you. So the most important thing, more than even SOP, are LORs. Okay. LORs, it's important. It's of course the reputation is also important. Like if the person from whom you're getting LOR is like very well known, then it's good. But otherwise as well, how personalized the letter is, how much that person write good things about you, that matters. So LOR matters. I don't think SOP matters that much, and to be honest, I don't think everybody reads the whole SOP. It's like a 2-page long document, so they probably don't even read the whole thing.
Right.
Some universities, they do like have a GPA cutoff, like if your undergrad GPA is only above this, they will select you, something like that. And the reputation of your undergrad college also matters.
Okay.
And your work experience, if you have any. If you have publications, that's a very good plus point. But in masters, you don't really need any publications to get admit.
Okay, but did you have any publications?
Yeah, I did have, but they were not in like a top tier conferences.
Okay. Tell us something about your publications as well.
So I had 2 publications. One was in a networking conference. It was implementation of a protocol in a network simulator. And the other one was, it was a global humanitarian technological conference. So it was about, we used ML to like like classify the images post disaster and see where you need recovery and all of those things. So those were the two publications that I had, but I don't think that played a lot of role in my whole thing. I think it's mostly the GPA, your undergrad reputation, your LORs, and also if you have any work experience, like if you have like in well-known companies like Microsoft, Google, or like all the other well-known companies, it matters because then like you have kind of a good work experience, so that also matters. So
Okay.
I think those all matter.
So what you're trying to say is that it's pretty straightforward. The scores matter, the work ex matters, and majorly these things matter, and publications and other co-curricular things, they're not of great value to a study abroad aspirant.
No, I mean, if you have publication in top tier conference, it's really good. Like you will get selected. But I'm saying that it's not necessary. Publications are not necessary to get into a master's program. You could have other things which could be looked upon.
Okay, all right, perfect. So now you have researched about the university, the country, and the course. You're done with your SOP and LORs. What was the next step for you for the within the application process?
Yeah, I think so. After you apply to all the universities, all the admits start coming, and then you need to like kind of decide what you want to do. For me, it was a bit tricky because the pandemic came, and I had to figure out if the university is ready to defer my admission to the next year.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to go through this whole process again next year. It's a very time-consuming process. So from all the universities I got admitted to, I also checked with them that can I like defer my admission, and all of them agreed because like none of the students were going to join anyways that year. So that's how, and then you finalize on one university and you decline the admit to all the other universities.
So you are in Austin. You have already, you mentioned that you can join some groups for the accommodation and everything. You have joined, you have sorted out your living. Now it is the first day of your university. How was life at UT Austin?
I would say it was pretty good. The classes and everything, like first day, it was not very overwhelming or anything. They take it slow. Like, they start with things very slowly and then they like move ahead. In the first semester, most of my classes were online because it was 2021 and there was still like pandemic going on. So most of my classes were online. But like I had a very good experience overall. They go over the course syllabus and you also have to decide which classes you want to take. So people register for multiple courses and like then they select upon from that like which other classes you want to join. And then there is this hassle of classes getting full. So you need to quickly register for the classes. You don't need to like, if you take a lot of time, that class might not even be available for new students. So all those things happen, but overall, I really enjoyed the process of, like attending the classes and getting back to studies.
All right, perfect. So is UT Austin just about studies, or do you guys also have some cultural activities or some sports activities, or do you have some groups or communities where students can do something creative or something unconventional?
Yeah, UT is like really known for sports. I'm not very familiar with which all sports and everything, but like it has a stadium. And whenever I go to study, sometime I see like a long queue waiting for the games. So yeah, that. And also there are like a lot of communities. There are Diwali celebrations and all the Indian festival celebrations as well. There are many dance groups where like people do all kind of extracurricular activities at UT. It's like any typical university in the US where you do everything. The sports, there are like all like singing, dancing, everything.
Yes. Are you part of some communities? Any community in that manner?
No, actually, I didn't have enough time during my masters to like because it's like really hectic. Grad school is really hectic. You need to figure out your job situation and all of those. So I didn't really get much time.
We'll come to the job segment as well, but because we all know a fact about studying abroad, that the choice of studying abroad is very, very costly when it comes to funds and finances. So I want to ask you, how are you funding your education right now? Do you have any education loan?
No, so I did a TA teaching assistant for all the 3 semesters, so I didn't pay anything for my masters. It was fully funded by the university. So if in UT, like if you do a 20-hour TA position, they fund your tuition and health insurance. and they do give out a stipend, which is like more than enough for your living expenses.
Okay.
So I didn't really need to pay anything for my master's.
Perfect.
So yeah.
That's a very nice situation that you are in there, right? So now touching upon this topic of placements and jobs and even part-time jobs. So let's first talk about part-time jobs. Would you open for part-time jobs option, or like what was your situation there? If a student is coming to US, how is the part-time job situation happening over there?
Yeah, so when you just start your college, you can only work at the university. So like I was doing a teaching assistantship, which is like a 20-hour position, and most of the students do a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship. And depending on the university, like because UT like fully funds all the tuition, but like some universities partially funds the tuition or something, and then you get a stipend out of it. So in that way, it becomes easier to manage your expenses. And then you can do your internship only after you've completed 2 semesters in the US.
Okay.
So you can apply for a CPT and do that thing. And then once you graduate, you can apply for OPT and you can do a full-time job.
Can you name some platforms where students can look for internships and part-time jobs maybe?
So part-time jobs depends on your university. So each university, like I think UT, each department, when you apply for TA, you just need to apply. Each department has their own websites where you need to fill some forms, and they just send you emails on what all opportunities are available. So mostly it's university dependent on whichever platform the university uses. For internships, what I did was mostly I just applied at each like Microsoft, Google. They all have on their career website, they have their openings, and usually it's the best practice to apply from there. And if you can get a referral from someone you know, that's like the best. It's increases your chance of getting your calls to the interview. So that's how I applied for my internships and full-time jobs.
Okay. All right. So we'll try and mention your LinkedIn URL in our description box below if you're okay with that. So to our viewers, if you want any kind of references or any kind of help, you can always contact Isha, right? And okay, so now coming to the topic placements, can you shed some light upon how does placements work at UT Austin, and where are your seniors or your friends working right now?
Yeah, so usually at UT there are like career fairs, but the career fairs are not very useful because what they mostly do is they just tell you to apply on the company's website. So a lot of companies will come, they'll have their booths, and you can talk to them. It's more about getting to know the company, like just to see if you want to join their company as an intern or something. And then they just tell you to apply on the website. So mostly it's about that. And what I did was just that, like because I had worked for 3 years, I had a lot of contacts in industry. I had a lot of people who worked in Microsoft, and then they moved to different companies. So basically I had like a lot of contacts. So I just asked them to give me referral. So I just got referral from multiple places, and that's how I applied for jobs and as well as internship. And it's really helpful if you know people in companies in the US to get referral. Like in India, like how it happens in college, that company comes, they take your interview and they just hire you. That's not the process here. They just tell you to apply on their website. It takes really long time for that whole process.
Okay,
so,
all right. So let's say for your course or for any general master's course, what is the average package that can go for a student if he or she is trying to study from UT Austin?
I think it varies. So it depends a lot on how many offers you get. You can like negotiate your offers if you get like offers from multiple places.
But still, if you can give any ballpark number for that, कि आप अगर ये कोर्स कर रहे हो तो आप इतना तो on an average कमा ही लोगे, right?
I would say on a very lower end, like maybe like on a lower end, I would say 150K, like CTC.
Okay.
And that I'm talking about like Seattle area. It would be probably higher when you're in California or New York because you have like higher cost of living and taxes. So this is like a very lower number. I'm giving like 150K CTC, which you can expect if you are going to join if you have like negotiating offers or something. You should be able to get at least that much. But you can of course get much higher, and people usually do because like there are like few companies which offer like $500,000 as well. So you can get like very high packages.
Right. All right. So now talking about your future and your vision with whatever you have going on right now. What's your next plan now? You're already going to start a full-time job, you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Tell us something about your plans now.
Yeah, so basically, I'm going to start a full-time job at a startup called Kibo, and I I do not want to do PhD at this point, at least is what I feel. I might change my mind later, but because like Kibo, the company is started by professors and researchers, it's like very close to the work they are doing is close to research and innovation, and that's what my vision is like, to be very close to research and innovation and working with companies which work closely with that. That's why I chose the company, and I think that's what I want to do, at least for now. For a few years, maybe I change my mind to do a PhD, but right now I don't want to do it.
Perfect. Cool. So now, trying to conclude this whole interview, do you have any tip or any advice for the students or the aspirants who are trying to choose this opportunity of studying abroad?
Yeah, I think so. For choosing the university, you can like bucket the universities into like ambitious and some universities which you are like, like good chances of getting, plus some like safe, which you are like very confident to get, so that you don't land up in a situation where you don't get any admits. So you can like choose those universities. Again, I think it's good to look at all the funding opportunities, like their TAs, RA opportunities at the university. You can like email professors beforehand. So in that way, you can reduce your financial burden of taking a loan or anything. Like if your master's is like even partially funded, or if it's like 80-90% funded, then you really don't need to take an education loan. You can probably manage your from that. So like those are the two important things when you're applying.
Perfect. All right, Isha, I guess I have asked enough questions that were there in my mind, and these questions are directly coming from our users and viewers. So I hope this interview would have answered a lot of your questions, guys. If you want to ask anything else regarding US or regarding UT Austin, you can always drop us a comment in the comment box below, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you want to reach out to Isha someday asking for any help, we have already given her LinkedIn URL down in the description box. And yes, there you go. Thank you so much, Isha, for doing this. Thank you so much for giving your time. All the very best for your new job.
Yeah, thank you. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.